Hello and welcome to Beyond Borders, the podcast where we decode global business trends and dive deep into how companies conquer the world stage. I am your host today, Siti Aisyah Atira, and we are going to unpack a fascinating rivalry between Apple and Huawei, two giant company techs from opposite sides of the globe. Joining me are three expert guests, each bringing sharp insight on global operation, HR strategy, and more. Let's meet them. The first up is we have guest one.
Hello, my name is Rauda Akila binti Kamarudin.
Okay, next we welcome guest two.
Hi, my name is Nursha Zahira. I'm glad to be part of this conversation.
And finally, we have guest three.
Hi, I'm Siti Narazli binti Mama Asma. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, moving on to the first segment of this podcast is strategy and market movers. Okay, in these segments, we are taking a closer look at the global strategic goals and competitive positioning of Apple and Huawei, two giant leading of the tech race, but with different approaches. What is your opinion about this?
Okay. At Huawei, their global vision revolves around four new strategies. Huawei is transforms how users connect with technologies by creating AI-powered experiences, and from home service and smart health to education and autonomous network operation. This innovation will help carrier over cloud gaming, live e-commerce, and even home service robots.
That is correct, Shaza. And don't forget their new operation model. Using AI to automate telecom networks, it reduces outage, accelerates troubleshooting, and cuts operational costs. It is about building a self-healing digital infrastructure. So based on the diagram, Huawei has four new strategy and 5G network to boost carrier success.
As for me, I will kick off with Apple's biggest international push. Apple strategically is shifting from heavily reliance on Chinese manufacturing through what we call the China Plus One strategy. By 2027, Apple plans to move around 25% of iPhone production to India. Apple also investing $500 billion in US production, especially for AI-related infrastructure, which not only boosts resilience but also opens doors for trade benefits.
Exactly. It's all about geopolitical risk reduction and supply chain agility. By expanding in Vietnam and India, we can better manage uncertainties while tapping into emerging markets. Now, let's talk about how local adoption. Can you guys share your experience and knowledge again regarding this?
Okay, thank you, Aisha. At Huawei, we work closely with the regional partners. A great example is our collaboration with Turkish Airlines. So integrating their mobile app with Huawei wearable like the Watch 5, it allows travelers to check flight details right from their wrist, offering real convenience tailored to local needs.
Yes, and this regional partnership allow Huawei to create ecosystem that reflect local behavior and expectation, not just global standard. This partnership not only show Huawei's capacity to modify its wearable ecosystem, but also for the travel sector. But it also display regional adaptation that what keeps Huawei competitive in diverse markets.
So, at Apple, focus deeply on localization in markets like India, opening new Apple stores in Tier 2 cities, optimizing devices for local languages, integrating UPI payments, and aligning with India's digital transformation goals. Additionally, as part of the Make in India campaign, Apple's manufacturing partners Foxconn and Pegatron are increasing local production models like the iPhone 15 are already made in India. Through partnership like Foxconn and Pegatron, also increasing local production to reduce import costs.
Right? This isn't just cost saving, it builds brand loyalty. When customers feel seen, they stay loyal. They aim not to not just be global brand but a locally relevant one. Apple's local manufacturing strategy in India reduce import duties, costs, and enhance supply chain resilience, enhancing competitiveness and in the price sensitive market. So where do they stand in terms of competitive advantage?
So, at Apple, it's integrated ecosystem, seamless software and hardware, privacy-focused AI, and a global brand built on trust. Apple's service segment, which includes Apple Music, iCloud, and the App Store, generated over $100 billion in 2024 alone. That is massive.
Right? And with the rise of spatial computing and continuous software innovation, we're doubling down on users' experience and security. Two things our global customer care most about. So how about Huawei?
Okay, so Huawei Edge is in AI innovation and photography tech. So Huawei new Pura 70 Ultra is a perfect example. It is a feature a pop-out ultra lighting camera and Harmony OS, which ensure a smooth user experience independent of Western platform.
Alright, I agree with Azlin. And with an 18% market share in early 2025, Huawei surpassed Apple in the Chinese smartphone market that thanks to the strong government support, brand loyalty, and the smart pricing in their home market, which is China.
Okay, that is all for our first segment. Thank you guys for the wonderful insight on our first segment of the podcast today. Okay guys, now moving on to second segment of our podcast today, organizational structure and strategy. In this segment, we explore how Apple and Huawei structure their global organization and how that structure supports international success. Let's jump into the core question. How do Huawei and Apple organize for clarify, control, and flexibility around the world?
Alright, at Huawei, they use a hybrid structure while Huawei headquarters in Shenzhen set global strategies, give, give significant autonomy to regional and local operation. Each subsidiary adapt marketing's operation and offering to local consumer needs and regulations.
Okay. It also a transnational model. They are gain efficiency from central planning but stay flexible in market. So this lets Huawei respond to real-time demands and build a strong tie with the local government and consumer.
Interesting. So at Apple, operate with a centralized organizational structure. That means major decisions like product design, marketing, and innovation are made at headquarters in Cupertino. Apple's goal is global consistency, the same premium experience whether you are in Paris or Penang.
Right. Apple has relatively few subsidiaries. Those we do have served as execution arms of strategy. They carry out the HQ visions. This tight control ensures strong branding, product uniformity, and streamlining innovation delivery. So, now let's talk about how headquarters works with the local teams. What do you guys think about this?
Okay, as you guys know, Huawei takes a very different approach to interacting with subsidiary. Huawei looks to promote a two-way relationship between HQ and subsidiary. So HQ provide overall strategic direction and control of core function like R&D and financial control. Encourage subsidiary providing feedback about the local market knowledge, cultural factor, and currently regulatory status.
Yes, and this two-way approach could allow Huawei to maintain the level of flexibility to respond to the unique market situation while allowing them to continue to localize their product offerings and build a stronger relationship with customers and governments across local markets.
So, while at Apple, they use a top down approach. Cupertino controls product launches, pricing, marketing, and supply chain management. This helps them deliver a uniform brand message and consistent product quality across the globe.
But that consistency comes with trade-offs. They sometimes lack of local flexibility. It can be harder to adjust quickly to market-specific opportunities. Now, let's explore the strategic positioning using so important framework. Apple clearly follows a differentiation strategy, right? Premium products, sleek design, and an integrated ecosystem that just works.
Exactly. Apple's strength includes a loyal customer base, global brand recognition, and innovation leadership. But Apple is aware of the weaknesses too: high prices and lower accessibility in value conscious markets. Opportunities lie in digital service and emerging regions. Threats, regulatory pressure, and low cost competition.
Well, in Huawei, they blend cost leadership and differentiation. In consumer market, Huawei offers feature-rich Android phones at competitive prices. But in telecom, Huawei is different with 5G leadership and heavy R&D investment.
That is true, Shaza. Their strength are R&D, depth, and a modular, scalable supply chain. So weaknesses include negative brand perception in some Western country and geopolitical risks. But we have a major opportunity in developing markets like Africa and Southeast Asia, where infrastructure is still growing. The threat, of course, include ongoing US sanction and limited access to key tech components.
Okay, now, as we all know, in today's fast-changing global market, Huawei's hybrid structure offers a clear advantage by balancing global coordination with local flexibility. While Apple's centralized model ensures consistency, Huawei approach allows it to adapt quickly to diverse customer needs and complex regulations, making it more effective for sustained international success. So, in short, Apple leans on centralization and differentiations, while Huawei thrives on hybrid flexibility and local responsiveness. Both models have their strengths. The choice depends on how a company defines control, speeds, and customer closeness. Now, moving on to segment 3, learning by style, Huawei versus Apple. Next, we explore how two leading tech companies, Apple and Huawei, lead their global teams from leadership styles to managing cross-culture teams and influence the culture of global performance.
Okay, thank you, Echa. So, based on the research, Huawei used a hybrid approach, a mix of transactional and transformational leadership. They are very focused on discipline and measurable performance, but at the same time, they nurture innovation and a long-term development, especially through talent investment and learning.
Well, that's true. This balance is rooted in their founder, which is Rang Zhengfei's philosophy, which is remain resilient, support mission-driven teams, and develop employees even during adversity. Like when they face U.S. sanction, leadership is about holding high standard while encouraging growth.
So, at Apple, they lead through what is known as transformational leadership. This goes back to Steve Jobs and continues today under Tim Cook. It's about more than just directing tasks. It's about inspiring creativity, innovation, and motivation. While decision making is centralized, Apple leaders set bold vision and challenge teams to go above and beyond.
Absolutely. Apple's leadership style fosters a culture of excellence and high expectations. They motivate teams by connecting them to meaningful work and by cultivating a strong sense of purpose. It's not always easy, but it's deeply rewarding. Now, if we talk about global teams bring diversity and pressure, at Apple, their culture of innovation demands performance, especially during fast-paced product cycles. Their metric structure aligns teams to their product vision, but they recognize this can be stressful.
Right, Apple tackles stress by offering workplace flexibility, strong communication systems, and by celebrating internal mobility. There is a real sense of prestige and meaning in working at Apple that drive people to deliver their best.
Well, it's quite different for Huawei. Huawei emphasizes discipline and accountability, but also adaptability. Cultural diversity is embedded in their strategy. Employees are trained to understand and respect global differences.
That is true. They also manage pressure through clear KPIs, structured career path, and a strong internal reward system. Even during uncertainty, we even during uncertainty, they maintain unity through a shared mission and encourage flexibility when market or politics become unpredictable.
Okay, now I want to ask, what do you guys think of leadership impact on global performance? Personally, for Apple, Apple founded on the Western principle of individualism, creativity, and flat hierarchy.
Okay, interesting. It is a very different because Huawei incorporates the Confucian aspect of the culture and collectivism. which means focusing on the structure, responsibility, obedience, and coherence. This influenced the creation of a leadership philosophy, which is a combination of a transactional control and long term inspiration.
That's right. Huawei Manager emphasized endurance and group belonging, which is essential to overcome all challenges in the global context and political obstacle. Such a leadership that is consistent with culture increases stability within and inspires teams in multicultural marketplace, even when the pressure is imposed on the market. This way, the leadership pattern in both companies can be viewed not only as a strategic instrument but as a reflection of the national cultural values.
That is a very refreshing knowing that because Apple founded on the Western principle of individualism, creativity, and flat hierarchy. It has been popularizing transformational leadership, which stresses the overall individual creativity, initiative, and openness. This, com- this confirms to its profile as a tech innovator, and this has assisted it in keeping a premium brand internationally and the attraction of top talents all over the world. So, the leadership style adopted by Apple promotes the agile and visionary culture. The same might not mix well with cultures that embrace hierarchy.
Okay, so to conclude our discussion in this segment, Apple and Huawei showcase distinct leadership styles shaped by their culture, roots, and business philosophies. Apple's transformational innovation-driven leadership fostered creativity, agility, and high performance, while Huawei blends transitional discipline with long-term vision and resilience. These approaches reflect their respective values, individualism and openness at Apple's, and structure and collectivism at Huawei, demonstrate how leadership deeply influences employee behavior, motivation, and global success. So, next, we focus on how Apple and Huawei approach diversity, localization, and the global model. Think global, act local. Global, which is a combination of global and local. How do these brand things global but act local?
Well, that's a great question. Huawei addressed this by creating an ecosystem that is locally responsive but globally connected. Through a program like a global approach, which encourages collaboration between Chinese independent software vendor, which is ISVs, and international system integration to develop specific solution focused to local markets. It worked closely with regional partners and system integrator and developer.
Yes, for example, Huawei conducts gathering like the APAC Eco Partner Summit and Global Financial Eco Week to exchange ideas, collaborate on projects, and support regional ecosystem throughout Asia, Pacific, and beyond. Huawei also priority customer demands and regulatory compliance in a variety of areas by investing in the local teams and infrastructure. Through a combination of a local relationship, customization, and global technological leadership, Huawei is able to grow globally while adhering to regional differences.
So, while at Apple, by combining its global brand and technological standards with extensive cultural and language localization, Apple is a prime example of think global act local in the Middle East. For instance, in order to serve the 450 million Arabic speakers in the region, Apple extended support for the Arabic language in all of its software and services, including an app store that is exclusively available in Arabic with iOS 13.
I agree with what you guys say. And it's not just about language, it's all about creating localized experience that feel natural and respectful. From the product setup to how customer is greeted in store, this blend of global innovation with cultural awareness drives a long-term loyalty. Now, let's talk about product and service localization. So, how was Huawei and Apple do their approach? Is what is their method?
So, as you can see, Apple's dedication to adjusting to the distinct cultural, linguistic, and consumer preference of Japan is seen in the localization of its product and service there. In order to overcome obstacle, Apple created localized software such as Kanji Talk, an operating system that embraced Japanese character and was necessary for communicating in a market that rely heavily on text.
I agree with what you say. So, from my research, by 2022, Apple had approximately 49% of the Japanese smartphone market thanks to its retail development in areas like Tokyo, Fukuoka, and Kyoto, support for regional languages, and adherence to Japanese regulations. Now, I'm a bit curious about how Huawei approach their customer.
Alright, so for Huawei localized aggressively as well. For instance, Huawei specialized on high-end smartphone with the cutting-edge features and extensive customer service in developed areas like Europe, while providing dependable, reasonably priced device that meet basic connectivity requirement in growing market like Africa and Latin America.
Yes, it's true. As you can see, in order to take advantage of local infrastructure and market expertise, Huawei also established solid local alliance and joint venture, such as with Telefonica in Latin America. By combining this flexible strategy with customer focus, innovation, and regional operation, Huawei is able to increase market share and maintain its competitiveness on a global scale.
From what you guys share in our podcast, let's us wrap up by exploring how both companies manage inclusion. So at Apple, their focus is on premium inclusivity. Apple prioritizes privacy, brand reputation, and first-rate customer experience. Apple's dedication to inclusive design is evident in the way that its service and products are made with heavy emphasis on accessibility features, such as voiceover, assistive touch, and compatibility with hearing aids to help people with their disabilities.
Well, that's great to hear because, however, in Huawei, they target a wide range of customers, including price sensitive and growing market segments. Huawei places a strong emphasis on the cost and accessibility. Its product design prioritize technological innovation and high cost performance ratio in order to appeal to consumers looking for cutting edge feature at more affordable cost.
So I see, but Apple ecosystem caters to a devoted, comfortable worldwide clientele by providing a smooth, safe, and user-friendly environment. Apple focus on user-centric design, privacy, and extensive support promotes inclusiveness through quality and experience rather than affordability, even while its higher price points restrict accessibility for people with lesser incomes.
Okay, I understand where you are coming from, but Huawei also includes adapting goods and services to regional requirement is another aspect of Huawei inclusion strategy. For example, include working with a regional partner to broaden access and modifying telecom infrastructure for a variety of settings. So Huawei goals is to reach more people by meeting them where they are.
From what I hear from you guys, it's not just about the tech. It's about who it's for and how it fits into their life. Both Huawei and Apple successfully balance global consistency with local relevance. Huawei adapts flexibility to diverse markets through localization products and partnerships, while Apple maintains its premium standard through region-specific support and compliance. Their shared goal is clear, is to deliver a globally recognized brand that feels locally meaningful to customers everywhere. And that wraps up today's episode where we explore the global strategies of two giants, Apple and Huawei. From their organizational structure to leadership styles, from cultural adaptability to supply chain resilience. It's clear that while their path is different, both companies offer valuable lessons in navigating the complex world of international business. Huawei's adaptability, digital innovation, and localization strategies has helped it rise despite geopolitical challenges. Apple's centralized vision, premium branding, and supply chain diversification have kept it agile and consistent on a global scale. From managing complex global supply chains and financial risks to build inclusive workforce, and responding to crises like COVID-19, both companies reminded us that there is no single formula for international success. It's about aligning strategy, people, and purpose across the borders, cultures, and regulation. At the heart of it all is a shared ambition that is to innovate globally while connecting meaningfully with local markets. Thank you to all our speakers, Radha Akila, Siti Nur Azlin, and Nur Shazza Zahira, for incredible insight. And thank you to our listeners for joining us on this journey across global strategy, culture, and innovation. I hope from what we shared today is going to be a meaningful lesson for all of you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.